Hi, Darlene. How you doing today?
Hi, Barbara. Good. How are you doing?
Yes. Well, since I'm going to put this up on YouTube, let me properly introduce myself. Hi, everyone out there watching Darlene and Barbara. This is Barbara Williams from just outside the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm here today chatting with Darlene and her dog, Payton. And we're going through some basic training. So hopefully you enjoy this little talk. So, Darlene.
Yes.
He's biting you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when he bites you? Do you remember?
You put him in the calm position?
No. Hold him back up.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to tell you, get him to bite you again. Not yet, but get him to bite you. And you do, no. But you do a very loud, no.
Yeah.
And I'm not,
been biting
I don't sound like I'm shouting. I have a very loud voice. It's not screaming at the dog. It's really to get their attention. No. Now, the other thing you can do is, ow, like it hurts you. And then say no. So put your fingers in his mouth. Put your fingers where he's encouraged to bite you.
See, he won't do it because he knows.
He just tried. Well, remember, it's no.
Right.
And be very, 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 very consistent with it. And the other thing that works is a very loud, kind of like if you were hurt, you would say ouch, or a shrill voice of some kind. For everyone today, my voice sounds terrible, Darlene. I'm really hoarse today for some reason. It's just amazing. So tell me the successes you've had since the last time we talked.
Well, he has really been doing well at potty training. And so we keep an eye on him to make sure that we're able to see when he potties. And when he does, we praise him and give him 3 treats. And he's also very good he knows once he potties and he sees us coming with the little bag, he'll sit down because he knows he's not going to get it till he sits. So he'll be going crazy, but he does sit down. And that's when we give him the treat, and then the second one, and then the third one. So he does have that down.
Okay. Only the potty gets 3. So that is what's called the 3-step reward system. Now, the 3-step reward system is the treat, the good boy, and the pat. That all happens simultaneously. 3 treats for potty training, pee and poo or whatever 2 words you want to use, is because they're doing something that even humans can't do. You can't tell me to go on command and I be able to pull that one off, and neither can children, but dogs can. So what you're training is that he goes on command, and the purpose of having him go on command is not because you have some ego trip. It's because we live in a very time-sensitive environment these days, and everybody is very aware of time. So if we can assist the dog in going faster, then that's a really good thing, because then you have more time to play with him, more time to teach him other commands and things of that nature. So does that make sense, darling?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you ever hold him on your shoulder like a baby?
I don't. Sometimes my youngest daughter does.
That's one of my favorite positions for dogs.
His too. Yeah.
So what else have you worked on? You've been still working on the potty training, right?
Yes. So we're working on so he's been biting a lot. Yeah, we've been doing the and quite often because
but can you do it in the real noise that you do?
Yes.
Do and in the level of voice that you really do it in?
Right now?
Yes, please, so everybody can hear.
Okay, so if we bite to go,
Yeah, and it's usually I do it in 2.
Yeah.
And then I follow it with the command you want him to learn, which is no. And the reason for the is because dogs don't know French, Spanish, Greek, or any other language, but they do know certain sounds that dogs do. And it's not that we're really trying to be a dog, but we're trying to communicate on a dog's level somewhat. And so what we do is the at a louder pitch, and then follow it with no.
Mhm.
And now is he biting your hand now?
No, it's the toy. Yeah.
Are you doing the leave it, drop it yet?
No,
Okay.
I've done it a little bit, not a lot.
Do you remember how it goes?
No.
Okay, let's go through that again. Now it's very important because let's say you dropped your prescription drugs on the floor. Your dog doesn't know they're prescription drugs. And
Yeah.
yelling stop, stop, stop isn't going to get him to stop. The two things that we're getting to stop is to teach him, boom, to do sit on a real, you say sit and have him drop in midair. So you can get it to be very quick response. The second thing that will save his life is saying, leave it.
Come here.
Okay.
Go down.
And that will, if you teach him that, leave it will cause him to stop, leave the prescription drugs alone. And then the counterbalance is take it. So you get, reward with the take it and teaching him the command, take it. So how is the feeding him by hand going?
Feeding goes well with him.
But are you feeding him by hand?
Sometimes, yeah, not all the time.
Okay. And how is the socializing 4 people a day?
Let's see if he's potting. Hold on for 1 second. Oh, babe. Okay.
So what happened there?
He pottied and he's never tried to touch it with his mouth, and he just did that right now.
Well, I didn't hear an no. In other words, for any behavior you don't want him to do, you've got to do the no.
Is it too late to go over there and show it to him and say, too late, right? Has to be in the moment. Okay.
Everything has to be in the moment. So it's sort of like, pretend like I'm teaching you Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You're only going to get good at Spanish if you practice it.
Hold on. Okay.
And so what you want to do is maybe write the commands down on a piece of paper. Did you bring a piece of paper with you today? Pen and paper?
No, I can put notes in my phone.
Okay. So the notes that we should have so far, what are you using for the potty training command?
Potty.
And the for the poo?
I use that for both.
Well, it should be for both. You want to use them 2 separate ones. So it's potty and they pee and you reward them. And then it's poo or whatever, you can do it if you want, but whatever you want for the second command, you need to memorize it and be consistent because they're 2 different acts. And so if you're rewarding him for potty and he pees and you reward him for potty, the second part of that he has to do is the poo. So you're going to be still saying pee is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
And he's already done that. So it's kind of a bit confusing for the dog.
Okay.
No.
He wants to go over there and get that.
Okay. So let's pick him up for right now.
Okay.
And did you bring the dog treats with you?
Yeah, I have some. Let me get them.
Okay. Now, for your benefit, what you're going to want to do is get a treat bag or something, so you're always carrying the treats with you. Yeah. So you can reward him. No. And then, so have you been working on sit?
Yes, he does that well.
Now, what about down?
No.
Okay, let's work on down today then, okay?
Down like?
That means lay down.
Got it.
The command is down. If he's on your furniture or legs or anything like that, that word is off.
Okay.
So why don't I have you write down the basic commands so that we can be talking on the same page? Does that make sense?
Yes. Pulling it up right now. Okay, so down means lay down.
but you don't say lay down, you say down.
Down. Okay.
Okay, and then you got off. That means off the couch, off the table, off the kids, off anything is off. Which
Okay.
means get off it, get off of it. But you just say off. And then you've got sit. Now
Sit.
you get these in the phone at the same time, or I mean, I can wait for you. What's the 3 you've got so far?
Down, off, and sit.
Okay, and then you've got stand.
Stand.
You got,
Okay.
you got come, and it's always with his first name. So it'd be Payton come, or Queen come, or whatever the dog's name is.
Uh-huh.
And then the next command is stay. So basically you teach all those other commands and then you teach him stay. Okay.
Okay.
Then did you get, and then the next command is going to have to do with leash training him. Are you ready for the next set?
Yes.
Okay, the next set is steady.
He sees his treat.
Yeah, and steady basically means that the dog kind of like steady, meaning calm down.
Hmm.
It's used for when they pull at the leash. So when you're going to leash train him, you're going to stand in one spot. And when he gets to the end of the leash and pulls, you're going to use the word steady.
I started putting the leash on a few days ago for a little while at the time.
But you don't want him to pull on it. So the first thing, you don't walk him. This is all done indoors. So sit down, off, stand, come and stay and steady are all done inside the house. Okay, with no distractions. And the no distractions is very important. So when the dog goes to the end of the leash, you're going to say steady. And when they like respond or come back to you, you're going to repeat steady and give them a treat for having done it. Okay. Then when they go back to the end of the leash, which they ultimately will do until they learn it, you say steady again. When they come to you, kind of like as to see what you want, you reward them and say steady, good boy, steady, good boy, you know, that sort of thing. And you repeat that until he's mastered that command. This is very important. You don't start walking him on a leash till he's mastered steady. And steady is so he knows not to pull on the leash. So he doesn't drag you down the bike trail. So you look like an educated puppy parent. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's lots of people like me out there laughing at people who the dog is taking for a walk.
Right. Yeah.
They're taking their human for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I always crack up about it. I'm going, oh my God, there goes another dog walking their human.
Mm-hmm.
So you go steady, pull on the leash steady and get them to come back and this sort of thing. And then once that's accomplished, now you always walk a dog on your left side. Don't ask me why. That's been the protocol over the years. I mean, I don't know how many centuries it goes back. It's like getting on a horse on the left-hand side. And the thing is, you know, maybe you can look it up on Wikipedia or something as to why that started, but it doesn't really matter why it started because it just is what it is. You know, that's what people do in walking their dogs. It's on the left side. Now, on top of it being on the left side, the dog should not drag behind you. The dog should not go in front of you, and the dog should not go to the side of you wide. So if the dog is pulling on the leash or going any direction other than what you want, you stop and say steady, and don't start walking again until he comes back into place. Then you take another 1 step or 2, and that's it. Pulls on the leash, is steady, and you bring him back into place. So you want to practice that. After you practice the steady standing still, right? Then you practice the steady when you take just 1 step, right? And then once he masters the 1 step, then you take it and do it with 2 steps. And then the thing is if he'll stay steady, which is at your left side and your left leg, right in sync with your left leg. Then you go and you continue to walk until he does something that's inappropriate, then you stop again.
Mm.
And at that point, you can also use the if you want to get their attention or to let them know, no, that's not okay. Yeah, it's just not okay. And steady would be the word for them to learn that they're supposed to be by your side. So have you purchased the martingale collar yet?
Yes, it's on him.
And it's the link that I sent you, right?
The
Martingale collar.
yeah, I got
See
the
his
collar.
collar. Can I see his collar?
He fell asleep. Come here. Right.
I can't see his neck. Let's see. Where do you put the leash? Okay, you bought that kind. The only challenge with that kind, Darlene, is have you ever heard about swimmers wearing really tight suits when they swim? Because if they don't have that really tight suit on, they have drag, which slows them down in the water. So when you use the drag in that form, is it's slowing down the process. With the cloth martingale collar, instead of a chain through those two loops, you got the cloth through those two loops, is there's drag. So when you go, let's say you have to go and do it's a real quick boom, boom, release, right? If you have to do that, you don't want drag. You don't want drag coming up. You don't want drag going back. Okay. The collar I have, I need to send to you. So I need to send you that link. It's very inexpensive and they're very pretty. It's pretty.
I didn't know there were different kinds. We just saw martingale, so we bought this one.
Yeah, there's martingale with the cloth and there's martingale with the chain. And then what size was that one? What inch to what inch? Do you remember?
I just remember small.
Okay, have you measured his neck yet to know what his neck measures?
No.
Do you have a sewing cloth tape? Not right now. You don't have to get it right now, but when you get a sewing, like a sewing machine or a sewing measuring tape that's cloth, if you can't find one, do you have a regular, labor measuring tape? If you have one of those, what you do is tie a string around his neck, then take and cut it off, and then take it off and put it alongside the regular construction measuring tape. And then when you look up your martingale collar, you're going to want to look like, I'm going to guess right now he's between 7 and 11 and a half. Because normally the full grown schnauzers are between 9 and 12. So you just want to look at that. And let's show him to me again. Now, turn him to the side. And let me see the martingale collar where you put the, it's out of the camera. Okay, now pull it as tight as you can so I can see that. Now, there we go. And pull it all the way tight. So is there any gap between your collar and his neck?
I mean, I can put one finger in there.
Yeah, because what you're looking for is when the two silver buckles, right, or hoops, when they come together, there's a tiny bit of a gap. So that it creates a teeny pinch, not a hurting pinch, but it's like you taking your finger and gently tapping your child. No, you don't do that with the gentle tap. It's not meant to be cruel or hurtful or anything of that nature. It's much like when you ride a horse, they've got a bit in their mouth. And when you touch the left side of the neck, they go right. When you touch the right side of the neck, they go left. Well, with your dog and you have the martingale, you're pulling it gently enough and pulling on the left side of the neck, it'll go to the right. And then the right side of the neck, they'll go left. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's much like training a horse in that respect as training a dog.
Mhm.
So we've got steady, you've written that down. We've got stay.
Yes.
Okay, now along with steady, when you start taking the first step, right? You can use the word heel, HEAL, or you can use the word let's go. But whatever the command is, his name has to come first. So the only two ones that I can think of offhand where the name comes first is Payton, let's go. Payton, heel. Payton, let's go. Payton, heel, whatever it is you want. And then come is Payton, come. Payton, come. And it's always his name first. And the reason is that the other commands basically want him to do something that's more standing still, like sit. So you don't want him to come to you, you want him to sit. Down is you don't want him to come to you, you want him to sit. And off, you want to do something, but you're not using a name with it. And stand, you just want to go from sit to the position of standing. Now but the come, you want him to actually run to you. So you use his name to get his attention, come being the command of what you want him to do. And Payton, let's heel, it's the same thing. You want to get his attention, but you want him to walk alongside you. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any questions this far?
No.
Sit is accomplished, right?
Yes.
Now, does he sit first command?
Yes.
Then, and do you have your 6-foot leather leash yet?
No.
You're going to want to get the 6-foot leather leash. You're going to need that for, healing, walking with you. You're going to need it. I have somebody let a fly in here, so apologize, and it wants to sit on my head. So you're going to need that leash. And then the other thing you need the leash for is to, when you're teaching, can you see that fly on me? Are we having fun yet? You get to watch Barbara do like this. Maybe I should command the fly off. So the next thing is that with the sit down off stand, right? That's something you're doing in the spot. And then the steady is what you do before the leash. But when you're teaching sit, for example, or down or stand, so this is the main one, sit down, stand, and stay, all need to be on leash along with come and heel. So come and heel go together, right? Well, no, I'm sorry.
Right.
Come is from a sitting position to you, or down position to you, or across the yard to you. And with heel is just having, starting the walk. Now, the other thing you might want to write down, because it's very important, is along with heel or let's go, I always want you to leave on your left foot. And there's a reason for this. Okay. If you leave on your left foot and you go out to take your walk and you have laryngitis, all you have to do is leave with your left foot and he'll stop following you. Because you'll learn that automatically with the command, right, of starting to walk and the being able to pick up that you're leaving with the left leg. Now, when you say stay and you go in front of him eventually and then move back, you leave with your right leg. So stay is leave with your right leg. And then eventually he catches on that when you don't want him to get up, you want him to stay, it'll be when your left leg. Great thing to know how to do with the dog and stuff, because if you ever get laryngitis, you just have to either leave with your left or your right.
Mhm.
And a lot of hand signals should accompany the commands. So stay is either like this. If I'm walking in front of the dog with my left hand on my left side, I'm coming down like this in front of their nose. Okay. Now, if I'm standing in front of them, and I want them to stay in that position, I go like this. But they're getting the palm, whether the palm up or down, right? They're getting the palm.
Mhm.
And then come is like this. And it doesn't hurt. If you're going to teach them to come, why not teach them the hand signal that goes with it? It just makes sense. Sit is like this, right? Just straight up. And stand is not so much a hand signal as that I teach them by putting the treat on their nose from a
Mhm.
sitting position, pull it forward, they'll stand, and then I reward them for that.
Mhm.
So which one of these do you want to work on next week?
Which one of the leash training?
No, which one of the commands? Down, stand, stay. What do you want to work on next week?
Let me
You can work on,
stand up, probably stay. Yeah, that's fine.
okay,
what
why don't you work on 3 commands next week? Are you ready?
Yes.
One is leave it and take it. That's actually one set of commands. Leave it, take it.
Okay.
And then you want to do which ones after that?
Stand and stay.
Stand and stay.
Yeah.
Does he already know down? For laying down, does he know down?
No.
Okay, let's not do stay. Let's do down first.
Down. Okay.
Because it's easier to teach them to stay with the commands with either sit or down. So we're going to work on leave it, take it, sit down, and stay. Okay.
Leave it, take it, sit down.
Stay.
Okay.
Now
Stay.
to work on these commands, you need to go to Amazon, order that 6-foot leather leash ASAP, and make sure the leash is less than a 1/2 inch because you have a Schnauzer. They're not a Rottweiler. So you don't want this great big thick leash. You look kind of silly. I mean, you're like got it for some humongous dog, Saint Bernard, Rottweiler, German Shepherd, Doberman Pinscher, and he's none of those. You want it more for him, and which would be about a 3/8 inch.
3/8. Okay.
Yeah. And 6 feet. Don't forget the 6 feet. 6 feet by 3/8. And they do have them on Amazon. You just have to read and look carefully. Okay.
Okay.
Now-
I have a question. As far as potty training, I wanted to transition him to outside.
And he's had how many shots now?
He's had his second already. So
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay. Just don't let him anywhere other than your backyard.
Right. And I have an area that's sectioned off for him. But
How do you have it sectioned off? What do you section it off with?
well, I was gonna put the little gate out there, but I'm not. It's just like a little area that I have by the furniture.
Okay, if you order from Amazon, and it's called precise name, exercise pen. And it's 24 inches is what you want, that goes in a circle, that links together, metal, complete metal, that cost under $50,
You said 24-inch?
24-inch high. And I forget how many feet around. I think it's maybe 10 feet around when you make the circle. And what you do is you make the circle with, it's got, like
Yeah.
accordion things. You open up the accordion panels, you connect it together, and then that'll be his potty area. So to start with that, I like to put the wee-wee pad in there because they already know how to go on the wee-wee pad.
That was my question. So
Yeah.
how do we handle the transition? Do I put the potty pad out to begin with and then
Yeah.
eventually
So when
pull
you pick up your dog in the morning, when you pick him up, what you have to make sure is that the wee-wee pad is outside, the treats are on you, and that you don't let his feet touch the ground.
Right. Yeah. We do that every morning and I tell the girls
Right.
we do
And so
not.
you pick him up and take him out to the wee-wee pad in the backyard. And then what you have to do is be committed to staying there until he's completed both of his things.
Do we remove the potty pads from the house, from indoor, and only leave the one outdoor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what you can do if you want to assist in this process Amazon sells a string of bells, and you took the bell on your doorknob. So every time you go to take him out to go potty, you take his paw and hit the bells, say potty, or say we're gonna go potty, open the door, put him outside and say potty. So everything is a consistency of what you're gonna do.
Right.
So
So for transition, that's where I would start, a specific area, put a potty pad out there and make sure that's where we go every time. Remove the potty pads from indoor, correct?
yeah, you don't want him pottying indoors anymore. His only choice is outside now.
Okay,
And he's gonna ring the door or sit by the door or make a noise or something to let you know he's gotta go. And when
so
you
I
do-
just do that, like I can do that today. I can
Yes.
take them out of the house. I can
Yes,
start
but when
that.
he doesn't, when you're not playing with him inside, remember, he goes back in his crate. So when does he want to go potty? Tell me when he
Well,
wants.
after he eats and drinks, then we're very vigilant to watch him,
But what else? Eat and drink,
play.
play,
Yeah, and in the morning and right
sleep,
before you go.
sleep, any
Sleep.
type of sleep.
Right.
So if he sleeps for a nap, or basically anytime he comes out of the crate, he's going to want to go to the bathroom, whether he was sleeping in the crate or not sleeping in the crate. So you
Okay.
take him out of the crate from sleeping. That's number one in the morning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take him outside. Then you bring him in, you feed him,
Mm-hmm.
and you take him outside.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and when you feed him, you're going to make sure you have food and water there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he plays, because what you want to do after he's done his business, you want to let him play. Otherwise, he thinks he's being punished. Do you see how that connection is? He pee-pees and poo-poos, you reward him, but by the same token, you take him in, you don't play with him, and you put him in the crate.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how he would assume he's being punished.
Yeah.
So you treat him 3 times for pee-pee, treat him 3 times for poo-poo, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then you let him run around the backyard free, right? And then after you,
Well, should I be careful of that for right now since he hasn't had his 3rd shot? Because I do have a lot of cats
we
in the
want to let
area.
him run in the house, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just
he
let
does
him run around and play before
Okay.
you put him in. And what I mean by that, it only needs to be 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
If that's all you have. It can be longer if you have more time. But it's got to be a minimum of 5 minutes. He's got to have the fun after the performing,
Yeah.
the reward, continuing. So he doesn't think, oh, if I pee and poo, I'm going to be punished. You don't
Right.
want him making that connection. And if you remember last time, did I tell you about my German Shepherd and the chicken?
Yes.
I'm going to repeat it one time for those who haven't heard it. I had a German Shepherd. She was very well trained and very intelligent. And she was obedience trained. And I showed her in the show ring. I trophied many, many times, most of the time. And when I went to the backyard, she was there with a dead chicken. So, of course, that was very upsetting, living kind of in the country. She's killed one of the neighbor's chickens because we don't have chickens. And so I scolded her with the no, and picked up the chicken, lifted up the lid and put it in the trash. Okay. What she interpreted was, it's okay to kill the chicken as long as I sit it next to the trash can. And since she was so obedient, when she went out and killed the chicken the next day, she brought it over and sat it right next to the trash can. So sometimes they can misunderstand your cues. And so it's really important to find a way to teach them without them misunderstanding the cue.
Okay.
And so I think the big thing for you is to practice. Do you know how to teach them to down?
To down?
To
No.
lay down. So your dog is sitting. So it is on like an angle like this when they sit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the head. This is the bottom, okay, when they're sitting. Here's their nose, right?
Mhm.
And what you don't want to do is go like this because there's no room for the feet. You want to go down and pull ever so slowly so that as his head follows, he's got room for his legs.
Got it.
Now, if you do this slow enough, he will follow wherever that treat goes, right? He'll follow and he'll lay down. So then you praise him, right? With the 3-step. Yay, 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 you did it for me. And so, and the treat. But let's say he doesn't. So you're coming down like this with the treat, right? And you have your left hand free. You push it on the withers and assist him in coming down. That makes sense to you.
Yes.
So I think the thing that you should work on is down. So you're going to repeat, come, sit, and then you're going to train him for down. Okay, and then we'll go on to the next ones after that. So you're still working on potty training.
Yes. Well, I'm going to start outside now.
Okay, so you're starting outside.
Yes.
And then you're going to work on repetition of sit. And the goal of that is to get him to sit quicker.
Do I give him a treat or do we start already?
I would give him a treat until he does it real fast.
Right.
You don't want the slow, you want real fast. Now,
Right.
when he sits, you don't want to immediately give him the treat now. You either want to say, I would say stay. So
Mhm.
stay, and then I would make him wait for 5 to 10 seconds. What you want to do is give him the treat before he breaks his position.
Right.
So you don't have to say sit again. And
He
then
does that with food. Like he used to run and try to get it and we would tell him stay. So now he doesn't go to his food until we say.
good, very
He'll
good.
sit there.
That's
yeah.
right. That's very good. That's very, very good.
Okay.
And so you want to continue that, not in front of the food, but just sit, stay. But you want him to be able to hold it for a longer. And so basically, if you tell him to stay and you stand there for 3 minutes, he won't go what you just dog food until you say release or okay, whatever you want for the release command.
Mhm.
Now, the point of this, getting him to do it quickly, along with the stay, is that you're going to be able to go into other commands once he's really good on sit, down, stay.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Okay.
those are like pretty much the 3 basic commands that you want to teach your dog. And you always want your dog not in a halter. You know, what people need to realize, marketing is everywhere. Why people market on YouTube, they market on the internet, they market by putting you in a drip system, they market from the television. So when they go, oh, this halter is the best, right? Whatever comes out of their lips after that is just a marketing strategy. It's not necessarily true. Maybe what they believe or what they think is correct, but what the bottom line goal is, they want you to buy their product. Okay. Martingale collars, again, I'm not going to say my age, but I'm a few decades. And since 12 years old and before, and a lot of years before, we used to use a choke chain, which was a similar concept to the martingale, but it was a chain that went completely around the neck. And then when you pulled up, but the problem with that is there was only one correct way of putting it on. And if you put it on the wrong way, when you dropped it, it wouldn't release. Okay. So they came up with the martingale, which is the 2 loops coming together, right? 2 loops coming together. So when you drop the chain, the loops drop. Does that make sense? But before martingale, there was choke chains, choke collars, and that's what they trained the dogs with. So they evolved from the choke chain to the martingale. But if you look, martingale will say training collar. So if you're on a walk, you want to be able to correct your dog from biting somebody else or saving their life, and having that martingale collar will do that. And a halter is not a training collar. A regular collar is not a training collar.
Mhm.
You want a training collar, which is the martingale.
Okay.
And I don't make any money off telling you to buy a martingale. I don't own stock in any of those companies, nothing like that. Just letting you know. So any questions before we wind up?
No, that's enough to work on because I'm transitioning to the outdoor potty. So that's going to be a lot of work, and then the commands. So yeah, I got a full weekend.
You have identified the two other commands besides going outside? The down and the stay?
I have down, stay, sit.
Well, sit, you're just repeating. So you have sit down, stay. Sit
Sit
down, repeating,
stay.
adding two new commands.
For
Down and
next,
stay. Huh?
I have down, stand, stay. That's what I have.
That's it. Down. No, we don't do stand yet. So I haven't even told you how to do it.
You're right. So I'm just doing down and stay or off. You said off?
You can do off just as a part of living. The dog's on the couch, you get them to get off with the command off. If they jump on your legs, you give them the command and get them off your legs. But in terms of an actually obedience command, you're repeating the sit, you're introducing the down, and you're introducing the stay.
Right.
Okay. And along with that, you're doing your potty training.
Yes.
So during the week, when you do your training session, which his age should be 10 to 15 minutes, but you can do 10 to 15 minutes several times a day.
Right.
So it doesn't just 10 or 15 minutes for the day. I would do it a minimum of 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay.
Repeating sit, introducing down, introducing stay, and then you continue to repeat all three.
Okay.
Potty training is potty training. It's not under the title of obedience commands. So your goal, your whole goal and all of this is to have living with you a good canine companion.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you want. GCC, good canine companion. Makes sense?
Yes.
And you know what, Darlene? If you raise kids, you can definitely do this.
I am
Training a
trying.
dog is actually easier. Do you remember potty training your kids?
Yes.
You didn't do it in a day, did you?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, bye for now. When are we going to see each other again?
Let me know what your availability is, and then I can
Right
check my.
now, I can never do Wednesdays,
Yes, that's fine.
and I have a fairly open book. So what would you like your next day to be?
Let's do Tuesday.
Tuesday will work. What time would you like Tuesday? Same, about 1 or 2?
No. My daughter has PE. Either, can we do earlier? Can we do like 11?
Okay, we'll do 11 on Tuesday.
Perfect. Okay.
Text that to me now as a confirmation of 11 on Tuesday, and that would be October whatever, and put that date in there. Okay. And I'll hit A. I'll say that means I received it. Fair enough.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me too.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to say, I'm going to say my goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. This is Barbara Williams from just outside the San Francisco Bay Area. And if you want to find me, go to puppygenius.com. And if you forget how to spell genius, just go to puppy training ASAP. Or actually not puppy, dog training ASAP. Look at that. Can't even remember my own website. Dog training ASAP. So, Darlene, thank you for agreeing to be recorded and put on YouTube today. You're helping a whole lot of people, and I know they're going to appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.